Freenauts.
Ya se jodió la bicicleta, con suerte. Dímelo. Yo, peace to my homie Brandon out there. Put together the nexus. Let's get connected. Ahora, we need the agora. Pa' que no joda. Pa' que no joda. Live free, nah, they can't control that. We need the agora. Pa' que no joda. Pa' que no joda. Politics is rigged, you can't ignore that. Politics is rigged, you can ignore that. Keep propping it up, it won't fall flat. Withdraw your consent and your whole stack. Be your own bank, be your own tank. You can't stop blockchain, beast store lies. 3D printed doing laps like Daytona. Don't attract no cops, no donuts. Kinda economics doing all that.
Okay, it's getting real, they wanna hold us back. I'm trying to hold my steel, they wanna go for that. Cause all they do is steal, they don't produce nothing. I tell a status to their face like do something. But you can find me in the club or on the beach, yeah. And I don't really fuck with clubs or the beach, yeah. But ever since my freedom became illegal, I'll be damned if they force me to my knees, bitch, please.
Ahora, we need the agora. Pa' que no joda. Pa' que no joda. Live free, nah, they can't control that.
You are about to opt into MoneroTopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. MoneroTopia starts now.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, guys, we're a little late. Please let us know about the sound, because that is the most important thing.
Yeah,
here.
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Yeah,
we hear ourselves.
We're actually,
Hello?
we're like 5 minutes late?
We're only 5 minutes late.
Considering,
We're running around like
Setting
maniacs.
up on a finca in Guatemala. Not too bad.
I think we made it happen. We hope so.
Guys, I gotta say, Sunita really is ride or die. What was it?
Jesus Christ.
A few days ago, one day before boarding the
This is
flight,
Wednesday.
I told Sunita, let's head down to Guatemala because we were running into some issues with our coffee supplier. We kind of lost communication with the guy that we were working with at the farm that was, essentially shipping the coffee out to us. He was the guy that introduced us to everybody on the farm. He was the guy that helped us get the Monero wallets in the hands of the workers on the farm. Really great guy. But for personal reasons, he fell off the map. So we took it into our own hands and we booked the flight and ran down here. And the reason why we did it now is because we wanted to get an fresh green beans in time for MoneroTopia, which is only 5 days away. So we did a quick little weekend trip down to Guatemala.
It's been nonstop action, but it's been awesome.
We kind of had to reintroduce ourselves to the people in charge of the farm, let them know what was going on with the Monero wallets and how their workers have these wallets and that we need to continue to get the coffee from them. And it was a whole process. The Guatemalan culture is, it's interesting to navigate. Sunita speaks Spanish. I do not.
Yeah, he kind of gets lost. So it's like I'm sitting there trying
problem.
to translate what people are saying and then trying to,
There's a lot of, people kind of assume the worst around here, I feel like, initially with people, right? I mean, people here are amazing.
Yeah, people
in general,
are sweet here.
But, they're very guarded. I think I said this the last time we came on the show. Everybody.
You can't blame them. They're skeptical
kind of
about
lives in their own little
new
castle
people,
here.
especially,
So
not from the
so
country.
it took some cajoling to convince them and to kind of get us back into good graces with the farm, which we managed to pull off so far. Seems like we're here. We're filming.
We're here
We
filming.
got behind the city walls here.
Yeah.
And I mean, this.
We
thing
literally,
is,
yeah, we came yesterday
this
morning,
place is
knocked
a
on the,
castle.
the door of the finca, and here we are today. So, I mean, we apologize for being 10 minutes late, but we were like scrambling around, making sure the internet was good, giving you a beautiful view of the farm. I kind of really wanted you guys to see the farm and see where we're getting the coffee.
Yeah, I mean, well, this background doesn't do justice at all.
No.
This is just like kind of the main, area where the owners hang out and they have their offices. But you might be able to see there's a big volcano back there.
Maybe later
covered
on
by
I can
cloud
try to
clouds. It's
go
tremendous.
around.
And then there's another volcano over there, and then you can't see it here, obviously, but there's acres and acres and acres of coffee plants. It's impressive. It's up. We had a Wi-Fi but it is mission accomplished. We got green beans. We're bringing some personally back, and then we've established a means where they'll be shipping green beans to us. When I say green beans, so these are beans that haven't yet been roasted. So what we've been doing with Gratuitous thus far is having the beans roasted down here, actually on the farm, and the guy that was helping us out, which was shipping them up to us. But now we're transitioning to having them ship us green beans, and then we're going to have them roasted locally on demand in the U.S. We've made friends, in the Monero community. They're going to help us actually do the roasting. We purchased a small roasting machine.
You'll see it at the conference.
We'll see. Well, that was we'll have a sample one at the conference. We'll be roasting beans live, and the whole idea is now so when you get your coffee, it will be freshly roasted on demand. So it should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why we're doing this, I don't know, guys. We're just crazy, I guess. But it's pretty cool. And
definitely been an experience.
The most promising and exciting thing is all the workers remember us. Once we got back onto the premises, running into everybody saying hello, we asked a few of them if they, held on to their Monero wallets, and luckily they said yes. They have their keys. They're keeping it. Not everybody fully grasps and understands what's going on with it, but it's nice to see that they at least took it seriously enough to hold on to it. So they're getting those tips that are coming their way. But yeah. I guess let's move us along. We have a tremendous show.
Yeah, we have a great show.
Non-gratuitous related. This just kind of came out of left field. So we're 5 days away from the conference. So we have a bunch of great guests on today that are going to be at the conference.
But I guess let's go through the website because you made a few.
Yeah, we don't need to show the website again. I mean, guys, the website speaks for itself. MoneroTopia.com. Check it out. It's constantly kind of in flux, even in these final days, as some speakers are dropping out. New speakers are actually popping in.
We have new panels too.
Is just insane. Instead of one panel, we're gonna have 3 panels now. That's also going to help condense the talks a little bit. So we're going to have
be a jam-packed day, guys. When you see the schedule,
you're going to need the gratuitous
you're going to need the coffee and just come energized and just ready to hang out all day long.
Talks start at 8 o'clock. I think I start the intro at 8 a.m. sharp. And the way we have it laid out, basically every speaker is going to have like 35 minutes to
including Q&A
and
transitioning
Q&A,
to the next speaker.
And transition to the next speaker. Then the panels will be about an hour long. So we're going to have a regulation and policy panel. We're going to have a panel on the Monero circular economy. The regulation and policy panel is amazing. Check it out. We have some really interesting people that are on there. The Monero circular economy, we're going to have Vic from Cake on there. We're going to have the coin cards guy on there. We're going to have Divi Chain, right?
Yes, the Divi Chain. We're Garrett.
Yeah,
Garrett.
Who's one of our new sponsors.
New sponsors. Yes, Divi Chain. Yes. Thank you, Divi Chain.
They're a lot of people probably have never even heard of them. They're like behind the scenes. They're big Monero liquidity providers. So really interesting, and they're going to be part of that
That
Monero
panel
circular
with Cake
economy.
Wallet. Thank you for sponsoring, and
It
coin
actually happens
cards.
to be
Thank
all the
you.
sponsors.
Yeah,
that are gonna
which
be
is
on-
really
not
awesome.
all of them, but
so.
all like most of the sponsors will be part of that panel. So, and then what was the other panel that we have?
We have Thorchain and Haven.
Yes,
Yeah, Thorchain and Haven.
the Monero
Interop.
integrating.
Yeah, interop. Was that it?
Yes, Monero,
That's why I wanted to show the website.
Monero integrating with Haven and Thor. So that's really big news. That's in the pipeline for people who haven't been following it. So we're going to have discussions there taking place live at the conference. So we'll have a rep from Haven. He's not going to be live. He's going to be, it's AHawk, and he's going to be, virtual. And then we have somebody from Thorchain. He will be live in person. And then we're trying to get somebody who kind of knows the more Monero side of things, Monero tech, to also be a part of that. We want somebody that could ask Haven and Thor the difficult questions, and particularly Haven. So, we're not looking to just kind of give a platform to these other projects where they can then, kind of shill themselves. We want to, do what Monero does, what the Monero community does best, which is, ask people the tough questions and be skeptical about things, which I think is healthy to do in an open source community. So that should be good. And then we have a bunch of other speakers. Oh, big news. Howard Chu. So
yes, Howard Chu.
He was originally part of this conference, and then at some point he wasn't sure if he would be able to make it in any way. He's back in, and he's going to do it's going to be virtually, unfortunately, but it's great that we have him because he's going to be talking about, the decentralized mining component of Monero, which was part of our original vision with this conference. We wanted to talk about what we saw as kind of all the main pillars of Monero, mining decentralization being one of them. So that's big news. We have him. Let's move along. What's the next segment?
I guess let's just do the price report. Let's get that going.
The MoneroTopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer.
Hello. How's it going?
Hello, good morning, guys.
Good
Great
morning.
to see you. Great background. I think I missed the first couple of minutes of the show. Which place is this?
We're in Guatemala. We
This
came
is
up.
the San Rafael Uriel farm in Antigua, Guatemala. It's where we get our coffee from for gratuitous. So
Leave it up
That's
to Doc.
amazing.
Keep it last minute.
Especially a bit curious about the volcano in the background. I hope you guys stay safe for the for the session.
I know.
well, actually, last time
Time it actually did
here,
erupt,
it was
and they
rumbling,
closed the airports, but it was like right when we got here. So by the time we left, it was fine. But yeah, crossing my fingers.
no
'cause
rumblings.
We,
Right.
we want to get back.
Yeah, and I think the show, your MoneroTopia show, starts in like a week, 5 days.
Yes,
So
5 days. Yeah. So
yeah,
hopefully
good luck for it. I hope I would have made it, but I
Aw.
cannot. But
we'll-
probably next time. There's always next time.
Yes, there's always next time.
Yeah. Maybe you'll
All right.
do location next time. Yeah, go ahead, jump into
Go
it.
ahead. Yeah.
If you
We're
can,
gonna
try
mute
to
ourselves.
make this one not as brief as you can, because we have a super packed show here, and we'll get the guest on. But,
Yeah, that is good. That is good. It's a short one. So this is report number 16. So right now the markets are praying. This is like one of the photos from stock markets. We don't know what's going to happen next, hopefully to the upside. And I think we are already seeing green signs where we are headed to the upside. In this report, I'm going to just briefly discuss upon the technical price action and some of the transaction growth details. So let me jump on into the charts. Here should be the next one. Yes, so we are hanging on to around 50. It's pretty much neutral, and it's pretty good because we have come a long way in the last couple of months. As we see, it's rising steadily, and I'll be happy if it stays this way while the market moves up slowly, because that is going to be more healthy than having a greed index of something like 90, and that's not very healthy sign, because then we are asking for a correction. This is the chart of the total crypto cap. And last time we saw this single candle. This is this weekly chart. And I was expecting a breakout above this trending line, and we have clearly broken out. That means, given that this is Heiken Ashi candles, we should be getting along this trend upwards. The only thing is I'll come to the BTC chart in a moment. So we are seeing a healthy trend, and also the RSI is not oversold in any way. It's pretty much neutral. So I would expect if the market continues this way, we're going to test 52,000 in the coming days. This is the Monero USD chart, and I have drawn the RSI as well as the MACD. And pretty interestingly, Monero is hanging around the 220, which I've been constantly reiterating that this is a resistance level, and we are trying to form a base around this 220 levels. So I would like this to be comfortably broken on the upside, and looks like we are heading that direction. So I would like us to stabilize around this 220 levels for as long as possible, so that we are sure that is a fundamental base before moving back up. So it's fingers crossed at the moment. This is the BTC USD chart, pretty much same as the total crypto cap. We are, the signal line is heading up. That means this is the weekly chart, yes. RSI also not oversold. So I think the trend is heading in the upward direction. I would see somewhere around 51, 52 to be a good resistance. And I would like us to remain above 47,000 in the coming days. So I would give it like a week or so for us to head. So something in sync with MoneroTopia. Let's see where we go there with Monero as well. And yes, this is the Monero transaction growth, which I had shared a few days ago on the Reddit. This is interesting to see that we have been constantly, this is the average number of transactions. Sorry, this is the minimum transactions we have seen during this course of, during this period. So between 2014 to 17, the minimum was 1,000 transactions in a day. And we go into the future, and currently we are sitting about 15,000 transactions a day minimum. So I think the average is around 22,000 of per day over the year. But this is a very healthy sign. So I would say that in the coming year as well, we would be seeing something on the rise, which is a pretty good sign. And yes, I can cover a few more, but I think since you're short of time, I can just let it go at this point. So we are, as a summary, we are seeing an uptrend, and I would continue this moving ahead, especially for Monero. We are seeing a beautiful Heiken Ashi candle. So let's see where we go with this.
Awesome,
All right,
man.
awesome.
So it's this is nice. So we're gonna see, hopefully, continue to see a nice uptrend in tandem with the MoneroTopia event, right? It looks like it might be some good prices.
Yeah, looks like the only thing is like I would like to see full green candles with open and close. So looks like we are heading in that direction, and this perfectly matches with the breakout of the max CD indicator, and RSI is also not oversold. So looks like we have some run to go in the coming days.
Amazing. Everybody loves what you do here. I think there's some people that literally just tune in for the price report, and I don't blame them. You do a great job, man. So thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for joining. We appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you so
Yeah,
much for
send a
thank
fungible little tip. His address is in the description.
and yeah, thanks to everybody. I'll tune offline. Have a great show.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Fungible.
Bye.
Alrighty, so move on to the guest segment now.
All right.
Go, go, go.
The MoneroTopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Hello, hello.
All
Hi,
right.
Luke. Can you hear us? Maybe not.
Luke, are you there?
Luke. Maybe he stepped away from his computer.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good.
How you doing?
All right. So I don't think I've ever watched MoneroTopia. I don't know how you guys do it. Do you just have everyone on once, or are we going to do one at a time, or How does it work?
Well,
yeah, so we have like the different segments. So we have like our little intro that that we just did, and then we have our price report, and then we usually have one special guest per week. That was you this week. But we had somebody else that was supposed to jump on too, but he can't make it. So it's just you, man.
It's
and
just
then,
you.
Really?
Ooh,
the pressure's on. I don't know.
After our special guest segment, we do like a quick little news report, and then we open it up to the community
floor,
where everybody jumps on stage.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I haven't talked to you in months since I was on Monero Talk, but when we did that interview, I actually kind of regretted doing it at that time because I guess it was like a month afterwards. That's when El Salvador had this, whole Bitcoin thing as legal currency. So then I was like, oh, there's so much I want to talk about with that because I feel like it's been kind of a disaster, to be honest. But I don't know. Maybe we can save that for later. But
yeah, well, no, give us your quick take on that. Is it because of the fact that it was essentially mandated as legal tender, so forcing people to use Bitcoin? What's your big concern with the?
Well, there are a lot of concerns. The thing is, I think everyone knows Bitcoin, the Bitcoin chain itself is not really usable. I mean, in the sense that it's not scalable. Of course, people need to use Lightning. People need to use a whole lot of things to even get the bare functionality out of Bitcoin right now. And what happened in El Salvador, I think you interviewed a guy actually, I want to say last month. I forget his name. He was a guy who was in El Salvador at the time when it became legal tender. Do you remember his name?
Yeah, he'll be down at MoneroTopia as one of our press partners.
Oh,
Mark.
okay.
Mark, right? Mark something?
Mark Farzan. Farzan.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way, for those people who haven't seen it, he actually did a pretty good documentary of him being down there and stuff like that, which I actually ended up watching most of it. And I think it illustrates some of the big issues that Bitcoin, as it's coming to if it needs to scale to fit this country and stuff like that, well, it is being implemented in the worst possible ways because Salvadorians have this proprietary Know Your Customer official government app that they installed. They don't have to use it, but 99% of people, of course, don't know anything about Bitcoin. They don't know anything about peer-to-peer digital currency, any of that kind of stuff. And so what's really happening is the government is using this theoretically free and decentralized system to kind of increase the digital control grid. You know what I mean? So it was really worrisome to me. I mean, I think that Bitcoin, Monero, of course, is very usable as a currency now, and it continues to be, and it continues to have, of course, privacy and the really bare minimum features. I really feel that Bitcoin has just gone further down the road of, it is more and more liable to be exploited. I guess that's my view on it. So,
yeah, I mean, couldn't agree with you more. I do think he did a great job at exposing that. It's interesting because even down here in Guatemala, obviously, so Bitcoin hasn't been mandated as legal tender here, not yet. But most people, kind of like the normal people on the streets, they're apprehensive about crypto. Even here, at the finca where where we get the coffee and we gave people their wallets, they're just trying to figure out what the catch is. They're assuming they're in. I can't blame them. So what's interesting about the El Salvador thing is you could point to that and say, well, especially the people here in Guatemala, well, look what happened in El Salvador. It's used as legal tender. So it gives it validity, and they start to, regular everyday people start to gain some trust in it. So I think it's good in that respect. I think it's good in kind of being a gateway of introducing people to crypto. Yeah. But I totally hear your concerns in that the way they're introducing people is through these confined walled gardens, so to speak, where it's not even like you're really truly using crypto. Yeah. You're kind of still on these, controlled avenues. But my hope is, and I guess the grand hope is overall, is that it does essentially end up acting as a gateway, and people then move outside of these walled gardens and start to use crypto more appropriately peer-to-peer without using these, government issued apps where they, essentially have control of your data.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I think it's a great thing that they have Bitcoin as legal tender. I don't think that's a bad thing, but
Right.
it really is showing how easy. I mean, Bitcoin is not an automatic liberator. It's not something magical, because it still can be very exploited, especially when people don't really understand what the point of it is. And, one, I guess, helpful development, I mean, this is kind of one thing that's happened recently, right, is that a lot of people are starting to understand the point of having a decentralized cryptocurrency. It can't be censored. It can't be manipulated. You can't, print infinite of it. And I think a lot of people who aren't familiar with, I don't know, Austro-libertarianism or something like that, and aren't afraid of censorship, cryptocurrency is just like, I don't know, what's the point of it? It doesn't do anything, right? I can send someone money on PayPal, but things have changed a whole lot just in the past couple of years. And, this is one of the reasons that, if we're going to have this massive global system, it has to be based on, free and open source and decentralized currency technology. And, right now, Monero is kind of, I mean, it's out there for usage. So I don't think there's any doubt about that. Oh, of course, among the watchers of this video, but,
Yeah, once again, totally agree with all those points. I guess the other encouraging thing about El Salvador, does it eventually lead to all cryptos, or a number of cryptos being legal tender? How long does it stay just Bitcoin only? Does it transition into cryptocurrencies in general, or more than just Bitcoin? What's your take on that?
It's tricky. Like a lot of governments now, on one side, I like the idea of who cares about what the government is saying about these, like the real goal. And I think I said this in our interview way back when, the goal of any kind of technology project, and especially a cryptocurrency, is not so that it happens to escape regulation, but it has to be built in such a way that makes regulation irrelevant. Okay. That's the ideal. So, it's one thing to say, oh, I have a permissionless system like Bitcoin that can just send money and no one can stop me. But, if it's visible to governments and things like that, you might as well, I mean, you're going to be thrown in jail if you do something that the government doesn't like anyway, right? So it doesn't make a difference. And that's where Monero comes in. But as for are other cryptocurrencies going to become, more, are they going to become legal tender or something like that? I think the tendency of governments now, this is definitely true in the United States, is to separate them into two different categories. And that is cryptocurrencies, which are actually very few. I mean, it's like some of the big ones like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero would probably be one of these, like cryptocurrencies that are supposed to be used as currencies, whereas 99% of the things on Ethereum and stuff like that, they're not really currencies. They're really tokens used on some kind of software system. And so I think there's a possibility that if governments know enough about what's going on, they might broaden their reach to say, okay, well, Monero could be used as legal tender, or Litecoin or something like that. I think it's another step to say something like, I mean, and it's questionable if, a lot of the Ethereum tokens are even currencies in the first place, but, I guess they're kind of similar. But either way, I think once you start saying, oh, we're going to branch out to more cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, I think it gets very legally confusing. And this is even for people like us. But, for governments, I think that's something that might take quite a while to happen. I think that El Salvador is kind of a unique case of one particular president who was just really familiar with the stuff based on his exposure to other people. But, that could happen again, I guess. So.
Yeah, and he obviously, holds Bitcoin. He has his Bitcoin bags. I'm sure, there's financial reasons as to why he's so pro Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, the most worrisome. What was that?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I will just say for people who don't know, the El Salvadorian thing is very worrisome, especially because there's a lot of people who are putting money onto these apps. And that money is ultimately under the custodianship, not just of the government, but under a U.S. company that they have do their custodianship. Things are very screwy. So that's just another example of how, you know, because Bitcoin you can't just use Bitcoin even in the way that you can use Monero, because the Bitcoin network just has too much traffic. There are too many fees, things like that. You know, it's not in a good position. Really, no cryptocurrency is in a position to just be the perfect world currency right now. Everything needs development. Monero needs development. There's still a lot of things that, you know, it needs to be improved by, but Bitcoin is probably the worst. I mean, it's barely functional, and you need all this other stuff built on top of it for it to even do anything, you know?
So how do you ultimately see it playing out? What's your current take on how things, you know, do play out? I mean, we see that the number go up engine that Bitcoin runs on is so strong. It pulls people in, it turns them into BTC maxis, and then they're just willing to ignore all these flaws that we're talking about. You know, people ultimately really don't care as long as they see their value go up. They don't care that it has this attack surface and that it could be co-opted by government. You know, most people aren't thinking in those terms. Maybe they care about the thing. What they really care about is, you know, their one Bitcoin is worth more tomorrow than it is today, and be able to, you know, cash and, you know, whatever, go live that liberated life. So what happens? Like, how do people start waking up to more people start waking up to Monero? What is it that ultimately pushes them over it when on the other side it's kind of that number go up that's pulling people into Bitcoin? Because that's really what I see as the dynamic. You have the BTC bag holders that, you know, claim for all these reasons that we're talking about, but what it really comes down to it is number keeps them, that they're willing to ignore these issues and are okay with, you know, ignoring something like Monero.
Yeah. Well, I think there are two things that are inevitably going to happen. On one side, the number will keep going up, but it will have diminishing returns. And we've already seen this. Like, if you look at the quote unquote, I don't believe in bull runs, any of this TA stuff. I'm just inherently skeptical of it. But if you look over the past couple of years, you see drastic diminishing returns to Bitcoin, right? I mean, well, it's still getting great returns. It's better than the stock market, better than most everything else. But we're not going to have, like, you're not going to get 10,000x on Bitcoin at this point. And in fact, this last cycle that we've gone through has been a mess. Like, Bitcoin hasn't even hit 100K. Everyone thought it was going to do that, like, at the end of last year, you know? And I think that will continue. Like, Bitcoin will still go up and there will be ups and downs, but I think the people motivated merely by making money, they're going to have less and less to work with, because this is just a fact of life. As Bitcoin gets bigger, yeah, it's going to get bigger, but, like, the percentage increase is not going to be as big. That's just the fact of life. So I think that will happen. I think there'll be less motivation for people who just care about money and stuff like that. And on the other hand, you have to look in terms of, you know, as I said before, a lot of normal people, they don't really see the point of cryptocurrency in general, let alone Monero, right? But just in the past couple of years, or really in the past couple of months, let's be real, you know, you've had the financial closures of, you know, the Canadian truckers. You have these really absurd boycotts of Russia, and not just Russia, not just the Russian government, random Russian citizens and things like this. That is just totally unpredictable. And that's what we get. I mean, that was not a threat that people really had to think about a couple decades ago. Oh, is the American government just going to say that the money that the Russian government has is just not real? It doesn't count anymore. That's not something that people had to worry about in the past. So I think they will start thinking in terms of, okay, well, let's see, how can we solve this problem? How can I transact value on the internet without having to use PayPal or Stripe or MasterCard or any of this kind of stuff, which is all very inefficient anyway? And the answer is simple. You use technology that's designed to do that, that's supposed to be a decentralized currency. And I think anyone who really starts looking at cryptocurrency seriously, they're going to end up at something like Monero just because it's good at doing. I mean, it's not just private. Privacy is usually the thing that people talk about most with it, but it really does pretty much everything right. So it's a two-pronged thing. The number grow up people, they're going to be sorely disappointed. You might still be able to, Bitcoin might make a 10x, within the next couple of years, but it's not necessarily you're going to put in your weekly pay and become a billionaire like you could have done in 2010 or something like that. So
yeah, no, really good points there. Yeah, I mean, you could only maybe another 10x, right? At some point, you could only get so big, right? The GDP of the world is only so big.
And to be clear, I fully expect Bitcoin and Monero. I mean, I don't really think Bitcoin's going to disappear. I know that maybe you and maybe some Monero people are like, oh, Monero's going to take over everything. I do feel that Bitcoin will, just by virtue of being there first, is going to continue. And I fully expect it to be worth millions and millions of dollars. But it's not going to be worth trillions of dollars and make people all this money,
Right. Yeah. People aren't really doing the math with that. However, something like Monero has a much longer way to climb. The potential growth there, I think,
definitely
much larger than Bitcoin. Where do you ultimately then see Monero sitting against Bitcoin? So you see, Bitcoin maybe going into the millions of dollars, with the market cap in the trillions. Do you see Monero being alongside it, also with a multi-trillion-dollar market cap type thing? How do you see that playing out?
Well, I'm always very sheepish about making very specific predictions because in reality, we don't know there could be some technological development within the next 5 years that changes everything. Oh, we can do decentralized consensus way better than proof of work, so let's use this instead. Or, I'm not quite sure. The Monero team, they could all go crazy or die or something. Like, I don't know. There are too many variables I'm not sure about. But I do think that, if you look at any kind of technological standard, you get a whole lot by just being first to the race, right? And Bitcoin is first to the race. And it's going to, even if Monero can best every single thing it does, that is going to count for a whole lot. So I don't know. If Monero passes it, I think that Bitcoin will be, gradually become even more useless. But I think people are going to expect, I can't make exact percentage, estimates if that's what you're getting at, because there's just so many variables out there that I'm not going to bet on anything, right? I don't know. Man.
No, I understand. Yeah, don't want to put you in a tough position there. Just trying to get kind of your overall look at it.
Yeah.
What do you think of this idea of, maybe talking about Monero as being digital gold, but just the way, as is done in Bitcoin? I feel like people are very reluctant in Monero land to use that meme, but it's quite effective, and there's a lot that it's very easy to convey. When once again, if I'm talking to people in Guatemala, it's very easy to say, hey, there's only 21 million. So, if you get some now, and everybody's trying to get some, it's going to go up. With Monero, it's a little harder to explain those things. It's literally the same exact dynamics, but it takes a little bit more abstract thought to realize that. But my point is, what should the Monero community be okay with and encouraging spreading this meme of Monero is going to be digital gold? It's going to be going up in value as the network grows. Or should we just stay more focused on, if you need Monero, use Monero, because that's always been the thing, right? Monero, it's a tool. If you need to do censorship resistant transactions, if you need digital cash, use it. And we kind of shy away from saying it's also potentially as good, if not better, digital gold than Bitcoin for certain reasons, primarily, the fungibility. Right. But just what's your take on that?
Well, I think the reason people are catty about calling Monero digital gold is just because I think everyone knows when they say it of Bitcoin, it's kind of a cope. Like Bitcoin, again, can't really function as a currency without all this technology built on top of it. So they're like, well, it's digital gold at least. It does something, right? And that's kind of a silly thing. This is a silly thing they say. So, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong. I mean, Monero is digital gold way, okay? Maybe you can say because it has tail emission, it's different. But functionally speaking, Monero is digital gold in the exact same way. And if its network can prove to be much more useful, by definition, you are getting the same good that you're going to get out of Bitcoin as more people join. By definition, the price is going to be going up in terms of fiat dollars. So yeah, I mean, it's fine to call Monero digital gold, but it can do so much more, and it does do more. That's just one of the little perks. Like, it's not the only thing as it is with Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, no, totally agree there. It just frustrates me that, when the Monero community is reluctant. I don't even know if it's that the Monero community. I think it's more the influence of the Bitcoin community on the Monero community, right? Yeah. So it's like this is our Bitcoin is digital gold, not we're digital gold, and so if you need to if you truly need digital cash, you can use Monero, but it's just a tool. It's ultimately going to trend to zero against Bitcoin because Bitcoin is digital gold. So, I would like to see more of the Monero community kind of sticking up for themselves and being like, Monero competes with Bitcoin on that front. I think we're reluctant to. I guess also too because we don't want to push the Monero maxis, Bitcoin maxis away, because as soon as you say that, then it becomes confrontational. Yeah. But I do think it's time we start being a little bit more vocal about that, right?
Yeah. I think Monero does pretty much everything better than Bitcoin. The only disadvantage is, again, virtue of Bitcoin being first. It has a larger network, more name recognition, things like that. And, again, there are many times when the first guy who comes to the table wins, even if they're worse. But I mean, I think did you have the Guns and Bitcoin guy on at some point?
Or no, we didn't. We did not.
You did not? Okay, never mind. By the way, people were making
Guns and Bitcoin guy.
What did you say?
Guns and Bitcoin does not like Monero talk. There's a whole bunch of drama there.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
I'm sorry too. I don't know what happened. If they're listening, we're sorry.
Yeah. Well, them and many other people have come out and saying, "Oh, well, look at all these Monero transactions we get." Like a lot of more people are using Monero than they are Bitcoin. I don't have I have a store where I sell books and stuff like that online, but I don't accept crypto. But there was a period last year when I was testing, like how many I was accepting Monero, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin over the Lightning Network. And far more than half of the sales that I got were from Monero, and probably second was Ethereum. And then I only got 2 payments with Bitcoin and then 0 over the Lightning Network. So if that tells you anything about adoption, I mean, I think Monero is honestly very undersold in how widely it's used. I think a lot of the movement on chain on Bitcoin is really just speculation. And well, that's true of any cryptocurrency. That's probably true of Monero. People are buying it to hold it. But in terms of usage, I think there's no way of proving this, but I have the feeling that Monero is just the uncontested winner in terms of real world use. I mean, even now, even if there are a lot of people who don't accept it now, I mean, that's my feeling.
Yeah, totally agree with that. We should say, so Luke is going to be at MoneroTopia. He's going to be one of the morning opening speakers, getting everybody excited about Monero. Luke, what is your talk going to be about? Do you know it? Have you kind of zeroed in on what you'll be discussing? I think we have you down as in a general topic of why Monero matters. So in the morning we have why liberty matters, why privacy matters, and then we have a why Monero matters, and we put you in that.
Right. So I guess I just have to talk about everything. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could be talking to you here, and I'm stealing some of the thunder from my talk. So I shouldn't. But I think in general, kind of the things that I've talked about already. The fact that the world is now in a position, right? People are starting to realize we really need some kind of free software censorship resistant technology to transact value. Okay, that's a universal desire. That's something that we absolutely need. And again, people didn't have this realization even 5 years ago. Okay, it's something that's relatively recent. And Monero is really the best solution right now. And I fully expect Monero to even be more scalable, better and better in the future. So more around that. I'm also the kind of person. I'll just tell you. Maybe you can tell. I'm the kind of person I could just get up on a stage and talk about something, right? Like, so I will give you my slides because I always give the slides, just to make the hosts less nervous. But I am definitely the kind of guy who back when I used to teach in universities, I just go up there and talk about what we need to talk about. That was my style. So
Yeah, definitely get that impression, man. You do a great job. I think that's why you have so many YouTube subscribers and followers. You're really, really good at conveying information and distilling complicated topics and expressing them, which is why it's very encouraging and exciting to see that you're essentially a Monero advocate. It's nice to see a big brain interested in Monero. That's a great indication. What did you teach, man? I didn't even know that. What were you professor?
Oh yeah. I taught I taught some linguistics classes. I've taught some like kind of computer classes and things like that. I've taught a couple things. But I used to work at UGA and the University of Arizona after that, kind of as a graduate lecturer and assistant and stuff like that. But a couple years back, I just got sick of the university system and I was like, screw it. And, basically just left without finishing my PhD. I think all the greatest minds nowadays are PhD dropouts, frankly. So I like to be among them now. But so that originally was what I was going to do. I was going to be a professor. That's something that I enjoyed. But, in my view, I think the university system is very corrupt and not even enjoyable to work in, even if you're that kind of person who has that kind of inclination.
All right. Yeah, we're super excited to meet you down there in person and everybody else. We're going to keep the show moving along. We actually have somebody that what's your name again, man? Jack. Jack, we just met yesterday. While we were walking on the streets of Antigua, he recognized us. I was wearing a Monero t-shirt. He's like, "Hey, Monero guy, Monero talk." And yeah, sure enough, Jack knew us. We had a cup of coffee. Not surprised. He's a super awesome dude because he's into Monero. And he agreed to jump on the show today. We had an amazing conversation about, kind of fourth turning type of stuff, New World Order. And so we'll have him say some words. But before that, we're going to do the price report. Luke, if you could hang around, please do. Because then we'll open it back up to get everybody on stage. But I think we'll jump to the news segment, yeah. And then we'll talk to Jack and we'll get everybody else on.
All righty.
Thank you, man.
The MoneroTopia weekly news segment is sponsored by iVPN. Use a VPN to help prevent your online activity from becoming a permanent record. iVPN encrypts your data and DNS requests so your ISP or mobile network provider cannot monitor or log your online activity. Purchase an iVPN service today anonymously with Monero.
Alrighty.
All right. So keeping the news segment super short this week just because we're kind of short on time. We've got a lot of things going on here. This was a big one. EU Parliament votes for Bitcoin privacy busting rules. My understanding, the legislation wasn't actually passed yet, but what they're proposing to do, what they're asking to do, is they want to basically KYC AML unhosted wallets, which I don't even know how they plan on going about this, but the idea being, if you had your crypto on Coinbase, for example. If you were sending it to another exchange, they would want to know, the identity of who it was going to on the other exchange. But now, even if you're sending it off exchanges and you're sending it to a non-hosted wallet, so let's say, for example, you're sending it to somebody's cake wallet or your own cake wallet, a wallet where the person holds their own keys. They want to know the identity of that person that holds, that controls that wallet, which is just, wow, talk about draconian, and talk about a step backwards for crypto. We were talking to Jack yesterday about this. It's really no longer crypto at that point, right? They've managed to basically completely control it at that point. And so we'll see where this goes. But just scary to see that they are trying to push in this direction. As Luke said, it's not about hoping that regulations don't get imposed on crypto. It's about having a crypto that's resistant to these regulations. And obviously something like Monero is better suited for this purpose, because it's really difficult to track and trace. And so with Monero, it's like, taking cash out of a bank, and you can go into a black hole, so to speak. And so it'd be a lot more difficult to impose something or have a regulation like this be effective for the purposes of what they're trying to do, which is essentially attach people's real world identity to all transactions. So really interesting to see this development. I think that the market actually, reacted to it, and or maybe not, I don't know, but it looked like the market reacted a little bit and kind of cooled down when this news came out. But we'll see where this goes. Next story. Sorry guys, with the sound here, I'm trying to fight against the wind, so I'm putting this mic next to my face, but it might be getting a little too loud. This will be the second and last story of the week. Havino. Havino is looking to be kind of the new BISC, decentralized exchange, a new BISC that's going to be based on Monero. They've been making a lot of progress, and now they were seeking a mighty large fundraising request to take them across the finish line. I think my understanding is a lot of the back end has been developed, and now they want to spruce things up and build a nice front end, a nice user interface that the Monero community can use for the purposes of swapping between Monero and other cryptos through a decentralized exchange without KYC or AML. So it's potentially could become a very important utility within the Monero community. And what's also interesting is they're looking to use the fees that are garnered from the users of this decentralized exchange to then essentially finance Monero development. And so they have a plan that they're proposing where they'll have essentially a board that's in control of the funds, deciding how the funds will be used and dispersed to people that are proposing projects that are in search of funding. There is some controversy. I recommend, I don't know, Sunita, if you have the other tweet, I believe it was John on, I don't know his full name on Twitter. You can see there, John. He posted a really, really great informative thread on the whole thing, and he kind of breaks down the pros and the cons and what he sees as being the potential risks, and whether or not Havino is going to be truly decentralized, and if we have to worry about who's going to be in control of this board. So I recommend people checking out that thread. But overall, John's conclusion is, great project, worth taking the risk and investing in this, and trying to get this off the ground. This is something we need, guys. If Monero is going to survive as governments try to clamp down on it, we're going to need a means to connect Monero to the rest of the crypto world, and to do it in a decentralized way. We're seeing things like atomic swaps, Thorchain, which is very exciting, and there'll be talks on that at the MoneroTopia conference. And now here's kind of a third major pillar, which is decentralized exchanges, and Havino is going to be hopefully the one that the Monero community will be able to rely on and use. Those are two big stories for the week, and let's jump to the next segment.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
Oh yeah, my God, you did it. All right.
All right, you want to give
Yeah.
Jack? So
Here you go. Just try not to talk.
Hi guys.
Yeah. Hello.
Jack, wait, did you? Oh, you muted me.
Sorry.
Yep.
Wow, man.
Jack, what's going on, man?
Well, you got me to get up pretty early, and then I ended up in the wrong macadamia farm, but here I am. You know.
Oh, you went to the macadamia farm first.
Yeah, no, the other one. Yeah, I thought.
This is a coffee farm.
No, this
it's
is the coffee farm. Yeah.
Oh my God, man. Okay, I got into like we were talking about macadamia yesterday, so I thought it was the macadamia. So I stopped there. I'm waiting for you guys, and
You made it. You made it.
yeah, I made it. So that's pretty cool, man. I couldn't believe yesterday. I walk in the street. I'm like, oh, well, look at that. It's like Dog and Sarita, walking around there. Like, I had to say hi.
So you can confirm gratuitous isn't some made up thing. We actually do come down to the farm here and interact with the farmers.
Definitely. So it's yeah.
Yeah,
it was cool seeing you guys.
And we had a great convo. We were both high on good coffee yesterday. Ironically, I haven't had my coffee yet today because we ran over here and we weren't able to get. I don't want to be pushy here with the farm and ask them to make us a cup of coffee. So I'm dying here right now because I'm in dire need because the coffee here is so good too. Everywhere in Antigua, it's amazing.
It's a different level.
And I had to pop a Benadryl last night. I don't know. I'm allergic to something out here. So yeah, dire need of the coffee. But yeah, it was awesome meeting you yesterday. So we just did our news segment. We got Luke that's still on. I think we have other people jumping on live now. We have this. I can't read. It's crypto. We got Crypto Bear, and then I think we have the Freenauts that are on.
Yeah.
Jack, what was your response to the EU news that that we just talked about?
Well, it's just what's been going on for a while now. Like they keep throwing out like these little balloons and it just fits in the whole scheme where they're pushing lately, like a little like last week or 2 weeks ago, Lagarde from the EU came out and said we need a digital euro. So and they want to control what's going on with the cryptocurrencies that are already out there. So and they want to make it how do you say like you said, like totally trackable, traceable, everything. And, that there's probably not going to be room for a Monero there in their mind, So, but I think, we should just move around it, stuff, things like Haveno, maybe chain integration, atomic swaps, and, and then people will find it. If you can go from another crypto to Monero, and also if we can like the more services we can build online that that people can actually spend their Monero and build their own ecosystems and like go from there, just not worry about it, just keep building, just to see what they're up to and go around them. That's what I think.
Right on, man. That's 100% what it's all about. It's not about conforming to what they want us to conform to. It's not about complying. It's about opting out, creating our own economy, and essentially ignoring them. We're not doing anything wrong, man. We're just living as free humans, interacting in an economy. We're just using Monero for the purposes of transacting. And yeah, 100%. The way we win is just by doing that. And there's literally nothing stopping us from doing it. The tool exists. Obviously, we were talking about yesterday. There are some things that need to need to happen and will happen with the Monero protocol to perhaps make things a little more user friendly, and are necessary as we scale. But for all intents and purposes, we're good to go. I mean, it's kind of that. If you build it, they will come. It's been built. People are using it, but now we just need more and more people to start using it on a daily basis. Like the best thing you can do for Monero is use it and try to get others to use it in your daily life. And as Jack said, we just kind of ignore and kind of create our own circular economy.
Yeah, and the way I look at it, like, every payment you do outside the existing system is victory. If I'm painting your house and you pay me Monero, that's victory. It's only one little thing, or you get a VPN, like, and you pay with Monero. That's all of these small ones. If we can get everyone to do that, just like you cannot go, like, oh, we can do everything right away with Monero. Like maybe in certain parts of the world you can do that, but not everywhere. But there's on the internet, there's a ton of stuff you can do. You can buy a ticket. You can, if I have to go home back to my country, I can. Was it Travala or whatever?
Yeah,
like
Travala. They just hit us up
like,
yesterday. They're going to be at MoneroTopia.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So just look at it. Like every payment is victory. Like, and that's just go with that.
That's
A lot of
beautiful-
that regulation is proactive. So you have money inherently is a product of the state, right? So they use it, and you're kind of going into this new era of currency wars. And I think that regulation going to track people is just setting up a surveillance state to prevent the future when those currency wars escalate, so they have something in place to battle it. I think that's one of the biggest things that doesn't often get talked about, is that cryptocurrencies are inherently very anti-establishment just by its mere existence. And as much as there's been co-opting by the establishment, by the finance sector and everything in cryptocurrencies are an option completely out of the centralized central bank game, right? And I think we're really, really transitioning into that new period, right? And there's going to be a lot of growing pains and everything. And a lot of Bitcoiners fail to realize that while they're excited about price movement and people utilizing it, they forget that at some point, central banks might become hostile if Bitcoin really becomes the front runner for the new reserve currency of the world. And the last thing you would like to see is your tool for freedom become a tool for enslavement of people. And I think that, coming from someone that was around in some of the earlier days, I think it's very frustrating that the narrative for Bitcoiners has become smash the like button, hit subscribe, get that notification bell, follow me, price till $1 million per coin. And they get excited about things that used to kind of be worrisome. A bank starts to utilize Bitcoin. Yeah, it's exciting, but when it's a compliance ridden dragnet surveillance machine, it should really pick up some red flags. And I think that's the most annoying part, that there's this cultural shift inside the crypto community that was expected. As something gets more popular, it gets watered down. Happens in music, happens in art, it happens in cryptocurrency, but you're seeing a huge push to basically become compliant as long as the price goes up. And that's something I'm very thankful for, that the Monero community probably shadows the original spirit of what cryptocurrencies were supposed to be: money for the people, by the people, freedom preserving in a world that's quickly moving towards becoming a dragnet surveillance state. I think that necessarily the price movement will eventually catch up. I mean, Monero is one of the most used cryptocurrencies for what its use case is, which is being used as a currency. So I think price will eventually catch up. If anything, it's a great opportunity that it's undervalued. It's got some of the strongest community support from the people who wouldn't sell no matter what, right? So I think that's another side, that eventually the price does catch up. Right now, we're seeing a lot of geopolitical moves. And it's interesting because I thought we'd be like 5 years off from when nation states start trying to regulate proactively. And you're seeing that happen in action right now. So that's really just an interesting timeline, because we all knew that time was coming, and it's just hurrying up quicker. You see it with the we're all very familiar with the dollar. People want to ask, what is it backed by? Oh, it's not backed by gold. It's backed by a full military force. I mean, every country that's gone against the dollar narrative, from Syria, Libya, Central American countries, has had issues with military action in one way or another. Well, what are they going to do? Declare military war against math and curves on theoretical plane, that's really where the interesting take happens. And you're seeing geopolitical countries that are taking on the risk of saying we're going to become friendly for cryptocurrency because it's an opportunity for them to be open to the future. So you see two futures in a lot of these countries. One that enable freedom cryptocurrencies in the digital realm, and others that fight it. But eventually you're hoping that the economic impacts of enabling it just completely outweigh anyone trying to suppress it. We talk about price movement and how price doesn't matter, but price is important in creating a sustainable economy, right? We all want to see a circular Monero economy, and eventually the price will catch up to enable that.
Crypto Bear, man, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, and he's going to be at the conference. Obviously, he's going to be doing a performance, which is amazing. Good to hear from you, man.
Hey, nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me. It was time I joined the stream.
Yeah, coming in hot, spitting that fire, just boom, 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 boom. Blah, blah, blah.
And then we got Alex from the Freenauts. Yeah, but everybody intros. If you guys wanted to each give a quick intro, obviously Luke and Jack, we already heard from the other guys on. If you want to just quickly intro yourselves. Alex,
what's up, y'all? If you tuned in last week's episode, I jumped on the little segment here at the end. AV, Freenauts, or Alex, if you know me like that. Anyway, it's cool. So we got C Traffic over here. Say what's up.
Yo, what's up, cuz? C Traffic, aka Colombian Traffic, aka DJ Traficante, aka Trafilo, aka Me Cago en La. Anyways, Freenauts fam, we're the MCs out here, and big shout out to Crypto Bear coming in hot, spitting in hot with the Monero stuff, and we're excited to be at MoneroTopia. We just debuted the new album, the Which Side Are You On, at Anarchapulco in February. And we were performing like world premiere. The stuff wasn't even published yet, and the people were loving it. It was hitting hard. So now that the cat's out of the bag and now the album's out, we're getting a lot of good reviews, and even on the Bandcamp, the chicken change is coming in. So thank you to everybody buying it. So we're happy to do an encore. So at MoneroTopia, we're gonna warm up the crowd for Crypto Bear with more tracks from Which Side Are You On? And we got a bunch of songs in that same vein. Kingdom Come is coming. We got Silver Stacks. Probably gonna be the first time Silver Stacks is on stage. So the MoneroTopia is gonna be a really amazing performance. Like, you have to catch that. If you love what we're doing, if you love the music, you're gonna get another world premiere, another amazing performance from all of us.
Yeah, y'all don't even realize Silver Stacks is actually moving to MoneroTopia right now as we speak. So thanks to this community effort and this beautiful event that we're all coming together for. We've got big things happening for the Freenauts crew, even within our own operation. We've got one of our members coming for our first show. We've done several shows without him. Unfortunately, this is the first time that he's going to be able to join us. But he's going to be moving to the Freenauts headquarters, as we're based down here in Miami. He's going to post up for a while. So,
well, I'm not broadcasting from South Florida. That's why I'm all bundled up, and I envy you guys hanging out between two volcanoes on a coffee farm. My dad has a coffee farm in Colombia. He's on the side of a mountain, and he sends me the sun-dried beans. So I know how it is. You guys are living the life out there. But I'm flying into Miami next week. I'll be there in time for the show and get warmed up, and and we got some surprises in store. As a matter of fact, right now I'm staring at my screen, a session for a new song. AV knows what I'm talking about. There's a whole brand new song that's not even on the album. It's probably on the next album. But I feel so good about this song that I feel like that could be like a MoneroTopia exclusive. And that's what we do as live performers, because there's a difference between being a studio rapper and being a live performer. Is like, can you get the old ladies to dance? Can you get to bring the funk? Can you make people have fun? And that's exactly what we do. And I'm sitting on like some gold right here.
Can you get Monero nerds to dance? That's the question. Old ladies is easy. I don't know about the
challenge accepted. We've done it year after year at Anarchapulco. You'd be surprised. A lot.
Drugs. They need drinks or something. The old ladies dance on their own. I don't know. The nerds are stiff. Get them out of their chair. But
what I love about the fact that you guys are going to be there, and Crypto Bear and Mike Sal, we have some other performers. it's so MoneroTopia is going to be the talks during the day, which is awesome. But then we have kind of this art component that's happening, this kind of free flowing, censorship, without censorship, say whatever you want to say. People expressing their ideas. We have the after dark speakers. We don't know who they are, what they're going to be talking about, and then we have you guys that are bringing this artist element. And you're not just artists that are going to be there that are going to maybe drop the word Monero or crypto. You guys are artists that actually believe in the ideals behind crypto and in Monero in particular, and you're going to be talking about these concepts in your songs, which I think is really unique, and that's what you're inspired by. And the fact that you're doing this out of that, that true love for liberty and turning it into an art form is really exciting. And it's I think maybe underappreciated. I mean, I certainly do. I don't know if everybody else does, but I think it should be highly appreciated because this is, what Crypto Bear was talking about, the importance of the way, the Monero community thinks and how there seems to be this, universal belief in these ideas of, creating money that the state can't take control of. And the way we continue that meme and make it stronger among everybody that's involved in Monero, and especially as newcomers come in, is spreading these ideas. And our show is great. Obviously, I stumble over my words all the time, but doing it through what you guys are doing through art, through that medium, is really going to be. It's going to take it to the next level and help spread these ideas. So it's awesome that you guys are doing that.
See, traffic is muted.
How
Yeah,
did I get
appreciate that.
muted? I didn't touch the button. But anyways, no, it's got to be fun. It's got to be exciting. It still has to be good art. Cannot be corny. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, that we've been doing music our whole lives, and we've been doing big shows, stadiums, arenas, big crowds, different crowds. It doesn't matter if the content is liberty. It still has to be good content. It still has to be amazing. It still has to be fun. And that's part of what we're trying to do. And we got like an exclusive. Me and AV are gonna do like some beatboxing. We're gonna do something fun and exclusive for MoneroTopia. So we want to make sure that every performance is unique and amazing and fun. Like if you weren't there,
Non-fungible performance.
Exactly. If you missed it, you missed it. But we actually care because a live performance takes some kind of effort. It's like above and beyond just being a studio artist. When you're on the microphone, you can do overs all day long and never face the crowd. But we're actually that's why we've done an Acapulco for 5 years and rocked the stage with like Killer Priest and Immortal Technique and Ari the Rugged Man, still bringing our message. And we're trying to like infuse the culture with a wonderful message that is going to go above and beyond just this conference, and it has staying power. For example, this song we did, I Wish for You, with the family, it struck a nerve because we're talking about the next generation, about empowering our children to carry on the message of liberty and for them to have more liberty than we had in our lifetime. And we have kids now, so we're coming from the heart, and we're coming from a real place with our music, basically.
How did you guys get started, the Freenauts? How did you guys all find each other, come together? How'd that happen?
Well, AV was the hub. AV was like the RZA, but myself, I've already had a career before that. Kingdom Come as well. AV was already Silver Stacks was already spitting, but AV kind of put together the idea of the Freenauts. He planted the seed, and it's kind of like the gravity. Everybody came through because with my catalog, I had a bunch of Liberty music anyways. Kingdom Come had a bunch of stuff. With the Supreme Sorcerers, they have a bunch of stuff. So right now on the streaming services on Spotify and Amazon, we have these playlists called Freenauts on Spotify or Freenauts on Amazon, and it actually shows you the catalog before the Freenauts was formed was already on the Liberty message. So it's basically like AV is kind of like we call them the RZA, like in the Wu-Tang sense, like the way the RZA was the nucleus that brought all the MCs and all these talented guys, but they are all talented and successful on their own. We can also call AV the Nick Fury that put together the Avengers, because the Avengers would have been successful on their own, but you put together a team, then it becomes a really crazy situation. And this album is one of the best albums I've ever been a part of, with everything the way it came out. It's one of the first albums I can actually play for my kid and say, look, you can listen to this now, because my other stuff was a little bit crazier with all the street stuff, Miami stuff I was doing. But this Freenauts album is like a lot more focused, and the message is really clear, and a lot of it is really beautiful. DJ Ruin gave us a lot of amazing beats. DJ Ruin was with us in Acapulco, and he's a full-time DJ. Like, he makes a living off of it. He's an amazing DJ producer. So for somehow we're attracting a lot of like world-class artists to join this idea. And right now we're working with Crypto Bear on a collabo. So we're not going to stop the innovation. We love what we do, and we're sticking to our message. And,
Awesome,
so I got to
man.
thank Mr. Nick Fury over here, AV, aka the RZA. He's the one holding it together, more or less. We just got to show up and do our best and kick ass.
Exciting guy. I just want to interrupt because I see Rafael jumped out.
Shout out to Rafael LaVerde, the Crypto Vigilante in the building.
That was the Godfather over there.
What's up? I'm the number one Freenaut. Oh.
So yeah, we were talking about the Avengers. This is the other Nick Fury of the Crypto Avengers out here with the Crypto Vigilante team, right?
Yeah, I'm the number one groupie. Literally.
Rafael, I guess let everybody know, how the role you're going to be playing at MoneroTopia.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to be just hosting the online event, and I thank you guys for making this happen. Thank you guys for always bringing everything together for the Monero community. At the MoneroCon conference in Denver, that was a very memorable event for everyone in the Monero community. And you guys put that together as well. Casa de Monero. I was there with you, which is awesome.
That's where we met you.
Yeah, we should say Casa de Monero was an Airbnb that Sunita and I rented, and then we just had a bunch of internet friends, people we've never met before in the Monero community. They came and they showed up, and we met them, and we all stayed together at Casa de Monero. That's where we met Rafael and a bunch of others who we're still friends with. So, yeah, man, it's been a fun journey with you.
Likewise, yeah. And we met Need Money 90 was there. Good time. But I'm excited. I'm traveling right now. I left the Amish and now I'm back in civilization. I see cars now. Where I stay in my pseudo bug out area, I see nothing but buggies and horses.
We're in the same situation, but we're not in the same state. But that's how we survived 2020.
That's right.
We survived the shitstorm by not being in the cities. When they say leave the city, look at you guys in Guatemala. You guys left the city. I mean, that's like a common theme for us, and I think like crypto and being decentralized keeps us alive, keeps us connected, while not being affected, not being putting your neck on the line with all the stupidity going on.
Right on.
Definitely.
This is such a cool. I don't even want to talk. I want to hear about Crypto Bear and Luke. I just woke up, guys. I drove all night long, and I'm like geeking out with what Crypto Bear, the Freenauts, and Luke Smith. If X was here, man, hey, X loves you, Luke. He loves your work, by the way. Mr. X loves your work, dude. I needed to put that out there, man.
I'm very flattered. That's good to hear.
Just letting you know. And Crypto Bear, man, dude. I don't know what to say, man. It's just awesome to be here. Awesome to be here, man. I too was a big blocker wanting big blocks. And then I also wondered why the hackers were giving TED Talks.
Yeah. Yo, that's one of my favorite bars right there. Got banned on Reddit for wanting big blocks. Oh, don't go there, Rafael. Don't go there right now. Actually, real quick, I'll drop one little thing that we're doing this weekend. Actually, today, finally, not that, the Monero community is big into NFTs necessarily, everybody, but we are going to put out some Freenauts songs as NFTs on a Bitcoin platform called Jamify.xyz today. So look out for that if you are into that sort of thing. I know Rafael might be.
Luke, I just wanted to get, what was your take on because we kind of all jumped in over here. What is your take on the what we saw with the EU news where they're trying to KYC AML transactions that are even being sent to unhosted wallets. Curious what your take was on that.
Yeah, well, you said something to the extent that that the whole point is gone. Like, really, it's just a bunch of boomers who don't even understand the point of cryptocurrency. Because if you understand the point, like, why even have it? That the point is to have a permissionless system, right? And this is if you actually have something where you have to be KYC'd, that is equivalent to just banning Bitcoin or banning crypto generally. Because that means you're just going to have to log on to Coinbase or Gemini or something to do all your transactions anyway. And at that point, I mean, who needs a blockchain for that? Let's just have Coinbase, they can be regulated. And the only difference, like a lot of normies, they think that because you have a balance on some account that's denominated in Bitcoin, that means you have Bitcoin. But that's not the case. I mean, I think part of it is just from ignorance. Like, these people have no clue what they're dealing with. They're just like, oh, well, people should be tied to their identities. And they don't really get the point that I mean, it's not just that it's about anonymity, but adding in that to, making that required to use the blockchain makes the blockchain totally worthless in the first place. It's like, that's the whole point, So, but I think there are a lot of politicians, like I will be like, yes, the government is going to come for us. Yes, the government is going to, if they realize what crypto can do, they're going to want to restrict it in some way. But honestly, right now, a lot of these regulations are just coming from a position of ignorance. These people don't even understand the point. They're just like, I don't know, it's something that people do to make money. Like, the kind of people who are skeptical, let's say in the United States, the people who are vocally skeptical of cryptocurrency are, one example that comes to my mind is Elizabeth Warren, right? On paper, she's like this kind of anti-bank kind of person, right? Things like that. She doesn't like, if anything, crypto is something that liberates individuals in comparison to corporation and stuff like that. That's what crypto is supposed to be. But I think because a lot of people like her look at it in terms of,
I think he hears us.
It makes people money. Therefore,
yeah, Luke,
his
we're
audio
getting a shitty. We heard a lot of good points there, but it's breaking up.
Oh, he's being hacked. They're messing with his packets.
Luke, is OBS bloatware? Is OBS bloatware?
What's that?
Is OBS bloatware? I'm just giving you a hard time.
Your
audio is clipping.
On the browser like everyone else.
I shouldn't use OBS. Is that a thing?
So, yeah, I know.
No, I have issues on the browser sometimes too. Pulse Audio decides to just like die sometimes with browser streams.
I was about to start using OBS, so tell me if it's not a good idea.
I assume you're using Linux.
Me? Yeah.
I guess maybe restart again, but
it might be a hardware thing.
But yeah, what he was saying, he reminded me of like this congressional hearing that happened like 2 months ago, where they had the Coinbase guys there, and to hear those Congress critters, that was the most ignorant thing I ever seen in my life. These Congress critters wanted backdoors to everything, and oh my God, trouble, like you said, boomers or whatever.
Guys, though, is it boomers that don't understand what we're trying to do, or is it that they understand what we're trying to do and they don't want to do it?
If they actually understood what cryptocurrencies are capable of, they would be banning them, not regulating them. So what you're seeing is a proactive approach at trying to turn cryptocurrencies from a liability towards the establishment into a finance instrument that helps them sell another product. And that's why it's like Bitcoin on your Robinhood account is not the same thing as Bitcoin on somebody's cold storage, right? It's a world of difference. And I think that there's this institutional push and regulations kind of walk people towards that cliff of this is a financial instrument. Don't you want to get rich? It's just stocks 2.0. But hopefully there's still, enough of what I would call the regulatory boards that don't fully, truly understand it. I always thought for a while that it was people not fully understanding before they created laws. And then I realized that a lot of this is politicians are just front runners towards giving good sounding advice without any power behind it, right? No one, you run for politics, you go up here and it's like, if you vote for me, I'll make sure every kid has a good education. Every kid has good food in their stomach. We grow up in prosperity. Or maybe I take an approach and try to sound contrarian and say, the system doesn't work for anyone. Vote for me, sponsored by big bank corporations. right? And it's just the same, left versus right. And it tends to, I'm a strong proponent that the last time we kind of had unity towards changing of the system from a political sphere was back in 2008 with everything that happened with Occupy Wall Street and everything. I mean, you had people on the left and on the right agreeing that the system, the finance system, wasn't being fair, and people get bailed out when they make wrong decisions, as long as those people are huge corporations. And all it's saying is we're socializing losses, but privatizing losses when it comes down to individuals. Ever since that, we've gone full money printer mode. And if you actually adjust the M2 money supply since 2008 for S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we never recovered from 2008. We just printed more money. And it's sad, as me being on the younger generation, seeing that there's such a bleak hope for the future in the younger kids, because they really think they will never own a home. What was once considered standard for the American dream has become an unrealistic Instagram expectation that people believe is just a hyper reality. We don't have that standard of living, and it's progressively gotten worse. And I think instead of arguing whose side on the political spectrum is at fault and which policies don't work, we got to realize when you inherently have money that devaluates, you're empowering people to devalue from the people. Inflation is the highest political issue, I believe, in my opinion, that has led to the downfall of what I would call the downfall of the West in general, right? The standard of living going down, homes becoming smaller, more expensive, yards becoming smaller. I mean, new builds, if you guys have seen, are basically in the US, new home builds are basically small lots. It reminds me of apartment buildings, and it's all why? Because they're trying to sell the lots based on the Fannie Mae limit for loans that the Federal Reserve will back, because those are interest-free loans, and it's a giant bubble. And that's the part that I wish was talked more about in a lot of those circles and everything, because we all want a better world. How we agree whether policies and stuff at the end of the day is people want to be able to live their lives how they want to live their lives, right? But the problem is when everyone's so worried about where the next paycheck is going to come from, both mom and dad have to go to work, right? The atomic family being destroyed has been blamed from everything from politics, video games, music, what it is about, different groups coming to power. But the reality is it's an economic war. There's been an economic war since 1971. I think that we're just starting to notice a lot of the but ever since we got off, like fully got off the gold standard, right? There's a reason. And that's a whole other conversation, maybe for a separate thing, some podcast or something. We could talk about why the founding fathers didn't like central banks, and they understood the problems that it eventually rises. These theoreticals about eventually the children will wake up owning nothing in a country are coming to term. And it's really sad. And I could tell you, especially in the younger generations, there's a lot of what I would call not good habits. Drug use is rampant on the rise. And I mean, the kids today are they're living like rock stars who don't expect to live to tomorrow. And it's sad. And I really think it's because they've become very demoralized into a future that they've been ingrained that will never happen, Do they really expect to own homes? Do they expect to be able to, college has become a enslavement to debt without learning anything feasible towards learning anything in a career or making money from it. But I think there is optimism. I'm not here to be yelling that the sky is falling. I think there's always optimism. And that's part of like one of the greatest acts of rebellion in a draconian world is the hope and the ambition for a better tomorrow. And that's why I think that, cryptocurrencies enable that, right? But it's, not to go on a tangent, but Luke, I had listened to your stream, the one about the economy is fake, the jobs are fake, the money is fake. Gave me a huge, when you reach that weird existential crisis and you go for a walk, because, that articulated very nicely. I wasn't aware of that book that you were basing that podcast on, how I've been feeling about a lot of the state of the economy, right? There's this almost existential dread, especially in a lot of younger people, because you can make money, but I mean, we've noticed in the last couple of years, at a certain point, the money just feels like you're ending up paying more in taxes, right? It feels like the sense of community, especially with everything in the last couple of years. It feels like the sense. So I think cryptocurrencies empower for sure.
Let's let Jack jump in here. He made some good points on all this yesterday. Jack, if you want to jump in.
I'll make some comments. Listening about the boomers, I think they just want the system to change in their lifetime. For their whole generation, they've been riding the wave of inflation in their favor. And they're just like, well, just give me my social security, I'm going to be fine, and fuck everybody else. That's what I think about the boomers. Then about the economic system, it's built on, like air right now. Basically it's been hollowed out, and it's running on the dollar, reserve currency status. Once that falls away, then we can see where we really stand. And with everything outsourced, say you're the US or Western Europe, and you've got a real economy, you got like factories, you got like you're producing stuff. If you got a financial crash, you'll be able to work your way out of it in like 2 years, like the Marshall Plan after the Second World War. You'll be able to get back up your feet real quick. But once that is all taken away, and then you lose your dollar reserve status, you're screwed, unless you already have been preparing and working on an alternative system. And that's and the thing is, there's people that try to fight this at the political level, and good for them, but me personally, like, go with the parallel system. And I think like, choose whatever way you think works for you. For me, it's the parallel system. I've been out of my country for almost decades, and I just do what I got to do and screw the government. Like, they're and then the thing about taxes, they don't need your couple of $1,000 of taxes. They're printing trillions. What the fuck? Why do they need your taxes? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway.
No, good.
How do you
point.
feel about central bank digital currencies in that respect? Because I think that's the end goal. After all the dollar loses its standard and petrodollar goes away, what comes next is central bank digital currencies, right? And it's going to be ushered in as a savior to the economic crisis. But the dangerous side is it brings about a lot of things. And the real question is, will the alternative with cryptocurrencies, people being able to accept them, people wanting to accept them, be viable enough and strongly built enough by the time that it's an actual option? I think that's the race against time that we're looking at.
I agree with that. Like, I think we've got no choice then to pursue this. When it comes to the digital currency, we've seen with the QR codes for basically the COVID stuff, they want to make everything conditional, so, track and trace you, everything you do. And then, like you do something the government doesn't like, they can just turn you off. And they've been doing that. They've been turning off people from traveling, from working, from all kinds of stuff, so they want to be able to turn you off,
It's even scarier than that. If you've read into any of the preliminary papers that the Fed has done into central bank digital currencies, it basically makes it sound like they're open to weaponizing interest rates depending on where you fall in the spectrum, under the guise of it being used for diversity and empowering groups that are disenfranchised and all the other political newspeak. It's actually done to create a credit system where if you are not a viable party or wanted party or whatever group, that interest rates might be higher. Or when we do direct to consumer, helicopter money, it's basically use this money within a week and only at authorized retailers like our sponsored by Walmart segment, right? It's basically, it creates this weird economy because it's basically beyond abstracted fake economy. And it's a matter of time. And that's the scariest part, because it really will be ushered in as a solution to a problem that really, the real solution is anything that's based on sound money that can't be manipulated. But we're expediting the process into that inflationary portion of it. And, I think we've all had our eyes on that, and it's just quickly approaching, right? It's a stoplight. Will it be green? Will it be red? Who knows? But the stoplight's approaching.
Yeah.
Topic that I should have brought up in the news. I kind of forgot about it. I guess it was this week. There was an announcement that was made that essentially the U.S. government is looking into developing a a digital cash technology, not a central bank digital coin issued by the Fed, but digital cash that would be issued essentially by the Treasury, something to replace, physical dollars. Really interesting what they're proposing. Claiming and proposing that it would be, private by default, and it would function as kind of a bearer asset. It would be issued, once again, by the Treasury to people, and then people would transact with it using, through hardware devices, through their phones. There would be no blockchain involved. How, on a technological level, it's really going to work. But, what they're proposing is interesting. And the fact that they're proposing it, in reaction to central bank digital currencies, and there's some, politicians that are behind this, some electeds that are behind this. Really interesting topic. Curious if any of you guys have been following that and what your reaction is to that.
I can.
Well, like Ed Bugo says at the Crypto Vigilante, the Dollar Vigilante, his take is that central bank digital currencies in the United States are kind of a far stretch, because doing so would disintermediate the commercial banks, meaning that your primary bank and the bank you bank with would then become the Federal Reserve. That is a conflict of interest with the commercial banks, who are the cartel that are the primary shareholders of the central bank, of the Federal Reserve. So we've seen this happen in Argentina. We've seen this happen in other countries where commercial banks get pushed to the side. So for some time now, what we've kind of concluded is that the way we're going to see these things come about would be more of a like JP Morgan coin, a Bank of America coin. But the news that Doug just told us about seems to be a very plausible way of instituting digital surveillance via a digital cash that they control that does not disintermediate the central banks. So it seems like they are they are aware, obviously, of this issue with putting the central banks aside for the end of mass surveillance, and they can't do that. So I think this is a roundabout way of having their cake and eating it as well at the same time.
Yeah, anybody, Jack?
Yeah, I was just thinking, so they're bringing in digital cash, and maybe it is because they can use it as an excuse to get rid of regular cash. Well, a lot of people wouldn't want that. So they say, well, we've got this perfect digital cash here. And then, in the end, it's like you got a CBDC or you got a, like central, but yeah, and instead of digital cash, so it's basically a way to take opposition away of the people that still want cash.
I think functionally it's going to act a lot like if you have Venmo or Cash App, basically, but the banks are basically the centralized host or whatever it is. So that's what they mean by private, as in like if I send a Venmo transaction, someone else is not going to be able to see what Venmo transaction I sent. Apart from the side where the Fed isn't the one issuing it, but Treasury issues it, they're going to want to borrow that money from the Fed. So it's a roundabout way of basically saying the Fed is issuing it just with the front runner of the Treasury. It still increases the amount owed. It still increases the debt. It's going to be probably using some sort of weird accounting trick to make it seem like, well, no, we're increasing because it's technically an asset and a liability, but it's twice the asset than a liability. But I think, I don't think it's going to be a good option. I think it's going to take a lot of time for them to process that. And yeah, they're trying to get rid of cash because cash prevents negative interest rates.
We see all the propaganda preparing everybody for it, with like, the little signs everywhere you go. It's like, due to coin shortages, we prefer no cash and all that stuff. And, what I foresee is with all the, BS talk about, people who think we need some sort of UBI as if that's going to solve, the economy on a, macro scale or whatever. That if they do that with this combined with the CBDCs, that's like the shitcoin airdrop that gets everybody to, adopt it and download their app and welcome that mass surveillance and tracking, willingly.
In the last 3 years, Zimbabwe dollars, like the old, $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollars, have basically tripled in the last 2 years. It's funny that, it's as like a collectible or as an asset class, defunct money is basically a better store of value than the dollar's been in the last couple of years. Zimbabwe dollars are a better store of value than the US dollar because no one's making them anymore. They're historic.
Wow.
And
But you should look up the Confederate dollars on eBay. Like even those old ass dollars are.
So coins.
But I wanted to go back to what you said about like the collapse of like things like in history, the Incan Empire and the ancient Incans, they didn't own anything. It was full blown socialism. So by the time they got taken over by a foreign power, nobody cared. So that's where it is. If you don't own anything and you don't care about anything, then you won't care. And that's why the kids are doing drugs and we get invaded. Nobody cares. Nobody has ownership or pride or anything in their homeland. It's like,
look, I'll take it a step further. And people talk about the decline or, the fall of society. I'm like, but it's fallen. I mean, we are basically operating in a dystopian fallen state. And that, that's a hard thing to look at. And I think especially in the last couple of years, as we become more detached from the hyper realities by not having to be in places, it kind of clicks in that you're like, everybody's just going through the motions. Community building has been destroyed, which is a core aspect of a society and is needed to be built. And
of the species.
of a species. And I think, we were talking about it in the Telegram group, but I think social media really creates this illusion that everyone's disagreeing with what your motives or opinions might be. And we all know I can't go on social media and voice my true opinion as does, because if I really hit on something that's a hot take, it just will be removed. Right. But, it's social media is basically a big environment of bot accounts, and it's basically social engineering at a large scale. So I don't think it's necessarily as bad as just, I think we're all isolated into believing that it's as bad as it is. And, I just hope that there's a better tomorrow as we progress into this, because we have the tools that really open up for that. So, for me, cryptocurrency, it's not about getting rich. It's a lifeline into a better tomorrow for future generations. I don't want to see future generations of kids wanting to basically look at it becomes so dismissive of a better tomorrow. And I think the biggest change is economic rather than political. Right. I don't think, and maybe I sound a little jaded and maybe I'm too young to be this jaded, but I don't think it's a political solution in terms of who I vote into power, because there's really not that much change. I think the biggest change comes out of tech innovation that changes the status quo, empowers people who became wealthy overnight, and now they have purchasing power. Countries are, noticing that.
And I'll say from a different perspective, because I have a 13-year-old daughter. And when I wrote the verse, I Wish for You from the album, I wrote it for her. And right now I'm teaching her business skills. And she's learning about deadlines. She's learning about, doing commissions and things. So she's learning entrepreneurship, and she's now been homeschooled for the last 2 years. And so it's a blessing. I think the shitdemic was a blessing because she had to be homeschooled. So yeah, if you have kids and you have kids in your own home and you're staring at the future through them, you know that there is a better tomorrow. We know we're going to make it through this weird time, and crypto is one of the many tools. Just last night, I was at a craft brewery, and there's like some 2 local dudes that I met. And just last night, I just introduced them to crypto. And the first crypto, I gave him $5 worth of Monero. I said, boom, he downloaded the wallet. I gave him the $5. I taught him about it. His buddy knew a little bit more. His other buddy was talking about USB sticks, and he's like, oh, he's talking about cold storage. That's like the next. So it was like over a few beers, it was like a baby 101 crypto discussion. And then that's community building. That's like you in your own community, you with the people that you can affect, that you can talk to. Little by little, we're all going to keep spreading the message of liberty and keep introducing them to the new paradigm, the new decentralized paradigm. And it starts like that. Just give the guy $5 in Monero. I mean, I can spare the $5 and it was great. It was great. Here now you have $5 in your crypto wallet, and you know, baby steps, because you know it is kind of daunting to get into crypto if you don't know about it. And
You know, I think
over a couple of beers, I got him to download a wallet and learn how to receive and send. Little tiny interactions in your own community go a long way. And then he has a business where like he does the undercoating of cars with, you know, to make them rust proof. And then he got when I told him, yeah, you can just accept Monero for doing the same service. Like I saw the light bulb go off in his head. I knew I need to get my car coded, right? So you see what I'm saying? This is what we talk about the community. I'm gonna go get my car coded, and I'm gonna pay them in crypto, and I'm gonna continue the community, continue the ecosystem, and the new paradigm. The community building, like you said, they did try to destroy it, but they're not gonna destroy it for us.
Yeah, guys.
We are shining lights. We're beacons of liberty.
so
The
earlier
number
there
one
was,
thing, really quick, interject here. The number one thing for everyone watching, and probably it's also the most profitable thing you can do in crypto, believe it or not, if you're business oriented, is to go to meetup.com and join any crypto meetup in your area. And if there's not a crypto meetup in your area, start one. You don't have to be an extrovert. All you have to do is just coordinate with some local establishment, whether it be a bar, whether it be a cafe, and just sit down and just wait for people to come in whenever you schedule these meetups. And you will be surprised as to how many people in your local area are curious or know a lot about crypto, because these are the people, when shit hits the fan in your area, these are the people you want to know. These are the people you want to start making friendships with. These are the people you want to interact with. Like C Traffic just said, right? Now he has a business connect that now he has 2 business connects just by hanging out at the bar that take Monero. It's that simple, guys.
and I was gonna say that there was a talk earlier
I
about.
will add.
Go ahead.
Is my audio still screwed up? Am I like delayed or something?
Oh, you're good.
No, it sounds good now.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to get your comment. I don't know if you saw, heard before. I think you may have dropped out, but we brought up this topic. I should have brought it up in the news. A House bill, or they're looking to introduce a House bill to experiment with digital cash. So not central bank digital coins, but something that would be issued by the Treasury Department to replace physical dollars. It wouldn't run on blockchain technology. It would run through hardware. I don't know if you saw the announcement this week. Essentially, it'd become kind of like this digital bearer asset that you'd be able to pass on to people from hardware device to hardware device. Not exactly sure how they figured or plan on figuring that out or propose to figure that out. They're saying that it's going to be open source, so the code can be reviewed, and that it's going to be theoretically as private as cash. Curious if you saw that and what your take is on that.
Well, saying that it's open source or saying that it's private, I mean, it's probably more private than Bitcoin or something like that. But I'm going to assume that it's something that obviously the Treasury or the government or whoever is, doing with this, or the banks involved, are going to have just as much access as they would as if it were just any other, ACH transaction that happens right now. I think there are I've heard of a lot of, I don't know if this is the one that I've read about, but I've heard a lot of proposals like this. And a lot of it is just trying to catch on to the cryptocurrency hysteria. People are talking about, oh my goodness, like, this is going to be the future. We're going to do this. Now, of course, as you said, it's not using blockchain. And I think I said before, it's not even like if you're not truly decentralized, it's not useful anyway. Okay. We already have ways of transacting fiat dollars digitally. We actually have a lot of them. I mean, maybe we could have one that's just more standardized, but I think it's really just trying to cash in on the hype of cryptocurrency. So I don't, other than that, I think it's also just people just not understanding the whole point of it, right? I do want to add to something that C Traffic said. I 1000% agree with the idea of you talking to people in real life and getting them involved in cryptocurrency. And because the biggest issue with Bitcoin, Monero, anything right now is the fact that if if I go to my friend and say, you really need to get in on this, it's great stuff. We're moving towards this, great future that's not dystopian. The hardest thing is when they ask, well, how do I get it? Right? Because how do you get it? Like, how do you get Bitcoin nowadays without KYC? How do you get Monero without KYC? The easiest way, and this is what I recommend people to do, if you're sitting on any kind of a stack, I don't care if it's $100 or $1,000 or $1 million, when you owe your friends some money, send it to them in Monero. Okay. When you want to, as we kind of said, like, it's very important. I'm actually thinking about, there are businesses in my town. I kind of want to get them hooked up with a BTC Pay server that can transact Bitcoin and Monero and things like that. And it's really for normies to use. That is the thing that you actually want to do. If you want to get people involved in crypto, do not, maybe it's better than nothing, but it's not ideal to have them involved in crypto by getting in via a KYC exchange, even if they're going to directly transfer that to a private wallet. The best way, if you're sitting on any amount of Monero or anything else, it's pay your friends in this, pay them money, businesses involved. That's number one, how to actually do it in the best way. And we can hope in the future that there's better on-ramps. Right now, we just don't happen to have that.
I think on that regard of onboarding people, I think Monero is a lot easier. I used to do the thing of, handing out $1 worth of Bitcoin at a bar or stuff like that. But it kind of sucks that eventually it was just not feasible because of fees, right? And I think, too, if you've ever had to set up anything, Monero is a little bit easier to onboard than like Lightning Network, in my opinion. Right. With Lightning, you have to worry about inbound, outbound liquidity, and you can lock up funds, and it becomes this mess of trying to be a well-connected node before you can even accept payments. So this, on chain's always a little bit simpler. And I think Monero really, I think, is underrepresented with how easy it is to actually accept payments. Maybe there's a lack of documentation for a new version of like BTC Pay server or things like that, but it's very easy. If you have a website, a store, and you want to receive payments, it's quick. Fees are really, really low. And, you don't have to worry about, well, is this payment on a blacklist of government watch list or whatever it is. It's just payment in, payment out, which makes it easier. You go out and about, you can pay $1 to somebody and you don't have to worry about what they end up doing with that money. You kind of have to worry about that in some regard with some of the other currencies. You go on Coinbase, you get some Bitcoin, you hand it to somebody at a bar. It turns out they went online and try to Google how to become a drug lord. And next thing you know, your Coinbase account got closed, right? So it definitely, I think, is just more feasible to be, people say that privacy doesn't matter, but I've onboarded people with Bitcoin and stuff, and I've had them where they go, oh, and then they trace back the transaction. Oh, you've got $1,000 on this wallet, right? And it's kind of funny because hey, these are the normies that don't care about privacy, right? But they sure as hell are nosy when it comes down to, figuring out where's this money? Where's that? It's like, Monero onboarding is a lot easier, and every time people say that it's difficult, it's definitely, as a merchant, way easier.
No, especially, and let me just
Monero's
add,
easier.
for sure, especially thanks to Cake Wallet. Most of us listening probably are familiar with Cake Wallet as a sponsor, but big shout out, because for anybody new to Monero, the fact that they support multiple cryptos, when you're kind of onboarding somebody, is important, but that Monero is front and center, because they are like, the Monero wallet in many respects when it comes to, mobile user friendliness and stuff. So, and the Monero.com, the new wallet as well, which they'll be introduced to. So, I want to echo that for sure. It's so easy to just send somebody $5 and just tell them to download this app, or $10, whatever it is.
Yeah, what I
shout
did
out
last
to Edge
night.
Wallet as well, because they're freaking awesome. They're like a non-custodial exchange. They give you access to so many cryptocurrencies that are P2P. They give you a fiat on-ramp, and it's easy to plug and play. So I think I agree with Crypto Bear. Monero has that advantage that everything happens on chain, and because it is on chain, that's the simplicity, right? The simplicity, that elegance and design, that it's private by default, it's ready to go. So I think You know, we talk about a lot about the problems that everyone's facing with all these tyrants, but the truth is that we have an amazing solution here. And again, anyone watching this, if you're not part of a meetup in your local area, go be part of a meetup. If there is not a meetup, start one. If you have family and friends that are new to crypto, well, at the Crypto Vigilante, we're having a free summit on April 24th. tcvworkshop.com. Again, that's tcvworkshop.com. It's free. We're going to be teaching everything for beginners, plug and play. It's free, guys. Take advantage of something that's free for your grandpa and grandpa.
Yeah, well,
April 22nd, by the way. That's the 22nd, I think, not the 24th.
422. But like Raf said, you know, he gave a shout out to Edge. You know, big shout out to Kate because they're sponsoring. But what I did last night was with the Edge wallet. That's the one. So installing the Edge wallet and getting them hooked up with it was more difficult than sending them the $5 in Monero, right? But that's how you start. Like, just I would say everybody just start dollar cost average and just start getting into your crypto, and then, you know, one-to-one meet with people and just give them some. Just give them some just so they can have something in their wallet. You know, there's tons of normies, tons. You know, they're still brand new to this, but you know,
including Elon Musk. Elon Musk is an normie. Right?
One of the things we're giving out at Swag at the conference is going to be little business card size things that basically are going to help onboard new people to Monero. So the front of the card is going to say, you know, I thank you for your service. I'd like to send you your tip in Monero. Please download Monero.com wallet with a little barcode. And then on the back is a place to write the 25-word seed. And so the idea being these are little cards you can use when you're out and about. Maybe you're at a restaurant and you want to tip the waiter. You know, send instead of leaving a cash tip, you can leave a Monero tip. And it's just a quick, easy way to onboard people because it does take time. You got to sit, you got to talk to people. So it makes it a little more slick. You know, you go to the restaurant, sit down, get to know the waiter a little bit, and, you know, slip them a card and be like, you know, later tonight I want to send you your tip in Monero if you're willing to accept it. And they could, you know, go look at the card, maybe go in the back,
just a tip,
download the wallet. Yeah, sure. If you could, yeah.
Or the full amount, man.
I thought you were making a lewd joke there. Yeah, I mean, sure. If you want to play the whole bill, but just a good way because you know you don't need to get permission from the restaurant owner.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to get people on board with tips, especially you know in places that are you know a little bit more crypto friendly, like down in Miami, right? So everybody knows about crypto in Miami, but now we just need to get them to download Cake. But I personally have, I don't know, endless amounts of people, right? I mean, basically everybody I meet, I get them, you know, who I'm transacting with. I try at least. I try.
Houses.
But I find like people like waiters and waitresses are really kind of low hanging fruit, easy to do because you have that moment where you can converse with them as you're, you know, they're serving you, and so you have time to do it. And then this card would just make it easier because they could just, you know, take a picture of the QR code, download the iOS or Android, and then it has the 25-word place on the back so they can write their seed. And just simple things like that. I find beautiful. Like barbers are super easy to do because you have like a good 40 minutes with them when they're cutting your hair. Those are great people to onboard, get them to accept your tips. But I think that's a really good thing to think about is tips. Getting people to accept Monero for tips is kind of...
A lot of libertarians have been doing it for years. In fact, I actually used to have the cards that, you know, it's like taxation is theft. And so this is a gift, not a tip, because you're not required to report it. And so, you know, now this is just taking it a step further by actually offering a solution, which is... But
likewise, you know, the dude that I was talking to last night is an entrepreneur that owns his own business. So I think entrepreneurs because like I said, what sparked his light bulb was thinking that I can accept my services for crypto. So he's like, how can I get crypto? And I said, well, ACH transfers into the wallet or just accept your service. That's when the light bulb went off. He said, okay, I understand this a little better. So entrepreneurs, self-employed people, these are the pillars of the community. These are the folks that I think could really adopt it and start to, like, you know, integrate crypto more into the economy. And when everything goes to the dogs, we need the most self-sufficient, the self-employed, the self-empowered people are the ones that are going to hold everything together. Everyone else that's like living off of giveaways and handouts, those folks are going to fold under pressure. And, it's just rough. I don't know
You
what to
know
say.
who the most important people that in your local area you want them to accept Monero in the future? It's the bullion dealer, the guy that sells gold and silver.
Oh yeah, he already does. My guy does.
Got it.
My
You go.
guy.
You already got your local guy.
He's in on it. When
That's
I go
awesome,
when I
dude.
go get the silver from the guy, he's like telling me about coins. He wants to do like coin gossip with me. Have you heard of this coin? Have you heard of that coin? Like he's already
That's
in
awesome.
on it. He's freaking.
Yeah, that's
that
when it
guy's-
comes down to it, you can that you have someone that can provide you liquidity in the future in
Right.
precious metals. So there you go.
And there's
Liquidity in
less
precious metals.
counterparty risk for them. They don't, there's a reason credit cards and stuff. How do they know it's not a stolen credit card and then they get stuck with a bill on a bunch of gold? I think the counterparty risk on crypto for precious metals is really completely undersold. And you bring up a good point about the reaching out to the entrepreneurs and reaching out to the business community. Maybe there needs to be a little work group for business outreach. You have small community or small business, whatever, leagues in every single small town, but maybe we should have something for Monero to help onboard in an easy business friendly way that explains the ins and outs. And businesses, right, they're not people when they're operating a lot of this stuff, so they might want to know how to open a crypto account on a crypto exchange under their LLC and things like that, which I come to think of it, I don't know if there's a lot of things out there that explain it. So that's really a good takeaway. I think that's something we need to explore further.
Yeah, in terms of entrepreneurs, good targets are businesses that are already accustomed to accepting cash only. So we're in New York, so there's a lot of businesses that to this day prefer cash and actually only accept cash. They don't even have credit card terminals. They're good targets for getting them to accept crypto and Monero in particular, because obviously they feel like there's an advantage to accepting cash only, whatever that may be. But say, well, now you should be accepting digital cash, right? Here's the next thing. And yeah, I think we're gonna have to get it wrapped up over here.
Wrap it up.
We're gonna
2 hours, guys.
although we did just get our coffee, which is fantastic. This is great. So everybody, we're gonna see you all down in person at MoneroTopia. Everybody that's on right now, which is amazing.
On Thursday.
Can't wait.
Thursday. It's almost here.
Everything, in talking with Monero Circular. So everything at MoneroTopia. Obviously, that's part of the theme, right? Is Monero circular economy. So the drinks will be sold for Monero, the coffee will be sold for Monero. All the vendors that we have down there will be accepting Monero. All our banners are getting printed. We've convinced the guy who's local down in Miami who's printing our banners. We convinced him to accept Monero. So yeah, we're trying to live up, walk the walk in addition to talk the talk, and that's what we're part of the conference as well. But super excited to see all you guys down there. This is awesome. Luke, thanks for jumping on, being our special guest this week. Rafael, thank you as well for being. You were supposed to be part of the special guest session, but thank you for jumping on at the end. Freenauts, thank you so much, man. We're super psyched that you guys are coming down. Crypto Bear, extremely excited. People love it when you jump on this show. Please jump on anytime. You're so eloquent with describing things. And super excited to see your live performance.
And Jack here, thank you so much.
Jack, man, thanks for
It was fun.
waking up more early than
Thanks
normal.
for noticing us on the streets.
Thanks for not being shy yesterday.
You never know here.
We have the worst OPSEC of any Monero people there are, where we're recognized in public. We've sacrificed a lot for the love of Monero, including giving up our own privacy, but somebody's got to do it. That's one of the things I always say too. It's like we need people to be out there fighting out on the front lines too. Obviously, it's extremely important that we have the devs staying anonymous and doing what they need to do. That's the only way that's going to work. That's the only way we prevent the essentially Monero from being co-opted. But we need people out on the front lines that are going to interface with the real world and can be loud and proud about using Monero. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's nothing illegal, and if there ever was, that would be wrong, right? It's perfectly ethically fine to use Monero and to promote the use of Monero. And so, there should be, anybody that's watching this show and that's hesitant, it's like, oh, you need to use it in secret. You don't. I mean, if you want to, sure, but don't hesitate to be loud and proud about using, Monero and getting others to use it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with digital cash. It's what free and open societies need.
For sure. I want to just make a quick point to that, Doug, is that, you can argue that I think there's a perspective that, if you're not like already like really locked in terms of your OPSEC, like in the dark, right? Like where I would assume Crypto Bear is probably like freaking nobody knows who this guy is, right? Which is a beautiful thing. And, if you want to strive for that, I admire that and recommend it. But for the average person who's like, on Facebook and, has a Twitter account with their real name and stuff like that, it's like the more in the light and transparent and networked and connected that you are, is actually maybe even better in a sense, because, it's harder to make you disappeared if, you have a community of people who you're in touch with and that sort of thing. Does that make sense? So
yeah, hiding out in the open. Very, very good point.
Yeah. Word. Anyway, thanks again for having us on.
Switch.
All right. Yeah. Thank you all.
That man switch works too.
Coming on.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. This is an epic show.
This is like the beginning of. This is a taste of what
this is the pregame.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like
gonna be a party
non-stop action and very.
Oh yeah, remind people coming into the conference to bring some spending Monero on their spending wallet so they can, I'll be selling some merch for Monero. So if you want some
Monero
hard to find merch.
Well, I'll accept weed.
Awesome. Yep, that's true.
Thank you so much for supplying that too, Crypto Bear, because we didn't really have anybody that was just going to supply like Monero merch. So awesome that you're doing that. Yeah, anybody that's you got to bring Monero and cash only. Really is the way it's going to work. So
yeah,
any commodity, gold and silver.
All right.
And drinks will be super cheap.
Yeah, we're excited about everything.
It's gonna be a great
time. There's coffee, guys. Right?
Yep, we'll have coffee. All
right, guys.
Thank you guys for joining us. To all the viewers, thank you. Make sure to hit that like.
See you guys in a few days.
Take care.
See you in Miami.
Woo, appreciate it.
Love the support, guys. Adios. Later. And we're
salud. Adios.
Salud.
Ciao.
Adios.
Thank you for joining us on this week's MoneroTopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the MoneroTopia Telegram group. See you all next week.
We need the agora, pa' que no joda, pa' que no joda. Politics is rigged, you can't ignore that.
Computerized humanity, we all robots programmed systematically. Hack the system and create total anarchy, and disconnect from that self-absorbed vanity. Y'all ain't worried about the dozen of leaders who deceive us. Y'all trust the leaders, soil and green is what they feed us. While they move their plans further, forget genocide and mass murder. We more concerned with Justin Bieber and eating hamburgers. Silent weapons for quiet wars, riots form, violence pause, also they can silence yours. Defiance of tyrants, pious, hybrid wars. What we're witnessing now is just the mildest form.
One time for my people on the right track. No cap, we need you to all fight back. Óyeme que no tenemos mucho tiempo. Vamos a prosperar sin gobierno. Ahora, we need the agora. Pa' que no joda. Pa' que no joda. Live free, nah, they can't control that. We need the agora. Pa' que no joda. Pa' que no joda. Politics is rigged, you can't ignore that. I'm plugged into the Agora's nexus. We need the whole community connected. We're the alternative collective. Self-sufficient and effective. Self-sufficient and effective. Each one teach one. Self-sufficient and effective. Freenauts.
Mic check.
They watching you, they watching me. Why they watching? It's tyranny. The internet, the cell phone. Who you know it? Where you going? They got 8 eyes for the city's brain, and it's connected to everything. They snitch on us and they hammer us, that they after us, that they